Dynasties of Crime, the Calgary Dominion episodes 151, 175, episode 151, New Dawn Rising. The oil derrick pierced the Alberta sky like a steel prayer answered by black gold. Gordon McCullen stood in the shadow of the machinery, his weathered hands wrapped around a cup of coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. 20 years had passed since the Founders Pact, and Calgary was transforming from frontier town to booming metropolis.
You look like a man watching his own funeral.
Maybe I am. This city's changing faster than a whore's promises.
The construction crews hammered and welded around them, building what would become the backbone of Dominion's expansion. Every crane, every concrete pour, every permit stamped meant money flowing through their carefully constructed channels.
Change is profit, old man. Your grandson Sean's got the right idea. Politics is the new muscle.
A black sedan pulled up, kicking dust across their boots. Sean McCullen stepped out, his suit tailored sharp enough to cut glass. At 28, he carried himself with the confidence of someone who knew every judge's weakness and every cop's price.
Grandfather, Mr. Lewis, the city council meeting went exactly as planned.
And what did it cost us?
3 construction contracts, 2 building permits, and 1 very persuasive conversation with Councilman Patterson about his gambling debts. The Stampede expansion project is ours.
The Calgary Stampede? That's ambitious even for us.
Ambitious is staying alive in this business. While you old-timers were content ruling the shadows, the world moved on. Now we control the light too. Mr. McCullen, there's trouble at the Crouppen warehouse. Police raid in progress.
Which warehouse?
The meatpacking plant on Industrial Avenue.
The 3 men exchanged glances. That warehouse held more than beef. It was the hub of their smuggling operation, the nerve center that connected Calgary to Kiev, Chicago, and Kingston.
How many cops? 20 cruisers, maybe more. They brought the big trucks.
Someone talked. Nobody moves on our operation without inside information.
Or maybe someone wanted them to move.
We need to get there, now.
Boy, you walk into that mess, you'll be wearing handcuffs before sunset.
Then what do you suggest, grandfather? Let them take our operation apart piece by piece. Additional units, the Vincenzo restaurant on 5th Avenue, reports of shots fired.
2 raids, same day. This isn't coincidence.
It's a coordinated strike. Someone's making a move against the council.
Then we better find out who before they make their next move.
As they drove toward the chaos, none of them noticed the dark sedan following at a careful distance, or the man in the passenger seat speaking quietly into a radio of his own.
Targets are mobile. Initiate Phase 2.
The Crouppen warehouse burned like hell's own furnace against the Calgary skyline. Fire trucks screamed through the industrial district while Anatoly Crouppen stood in an alley 3 blocks away, watching 20 years of careful planning turn to ash and smoke.
How many did we lose? 6 arrested, 3 dead. Ivana got away with the books, but they took everything else.
The trucks from Ukraine?
Gone. The meat shipment, the medical supplies, everything.
The medical supplies weren't medicine, they were weapons, smuggled piece by piece through their legitimate meat importation business. Kalashnikovs broken down into components, hidden inside sides of beef from Eastern European suppliers who understood the value of creative shipping manifests.
Papa, we need to move. They'll be sweeping the whole district.
Where are the McCullens?
Probably watching their own empire burn.
A police siren wailed in the distance, growing closer. Anatoly made a decision that would reshape the power structure of Calgary's underworld.
Get me Franco Vincenzo, now.
20 minutes later, they met in the back room of Mama Lucia's restaurant, where the smell of garlic and basil couldn't quite mask the stench of spilled blood from the front dining room. 2 of Franco's men lay dead beside overturned tables. Franco Vincenzo sat with his back to the wall, a compress pressed against a bullet graze on his shoulder. At 62, he still carried himself like the Chicago enforcer he'd once been, but his hands shook slightly as he lit his 3rd cigarette.
Coordinated hits. They knew exactly where to strike and when. Inside information. Someone with access to council business.
The question is, who benefits from our losses?
The Lewises and Reeds came through untouched.
Errol Lewis is smart, but he's not suicidal. Walter Reed, though.
Bear's been restless lately. Says the RCMP's been sniffing around his old contacts.
A knock at the back door interrupted their conversation. Sean McCullen walked in, his expensive suit somehow still immaculate despite the night's chaos. Behind him came a man they all recognized but none trusted. Detective Walter Bear Reed.
Gentlemen, eventful evening. You brought a cop to a council meeting. I brought solutions. Bear has information we need.
The raids came from Edmonton. Provincial task force, federal oversight, someone fed them everything. Warehouse locations, schedules, personnel files. That's the problem. The intel came through official channels, but the source is classified beyond my clearance level.
You're saying someone in government is moving against us?
I'm saying someone with serious political connections wants the Dominion Council destabilized.
The question becomes, do we fight separately and die separately, or do we adapt?
Adapt how?
By going legitimate, on the surface.
The room fell silent except for the distant sound of sirens.
The Calgary Stampede expansion project breaks ground next month. $100 million in construction contracts, all flowing through companies we control. By the time anyone traces the money, we'll own half the city council and 3/4 of the planning committee. And if they trace it anyway, then we'll own the judges too.
You're talking about going to war with the government itself.
No, I'm talking about becoming the government.
RCMP vehicles, 3 of them.
How did they find us?
They didn't find us. They followed us.
Gentlemen, I believe our evening is about to become significantly more interesting.
The sound of boots on the restaurant's front steps echoed through the building like a death march. The Calgary Stampede grounds stretched across 50 acres of prime real estate, and Sean McCullen intended to own every square inch.
The rodeo arena expansion alone will launder $12 million, and the new casino complex. Officially, it's a conference center with gaming licenses for charity events. Unofficially, it'll run 24/7 once we control the right charity boards.
The Stampede brought international attention to Calgary every July. Tourists, businessmen, politicians all flowed through the grounds carrying money that needed washing and connections that required cultivation. A knock at the trailer door interrupted their planning. Selena Lewis entered, her RCMP uniform crisp despite the early morning hour.
We have a problem.
Define problem.
Detective Marla Reed is asking questions about construction permits. Specifically, she wants to know why McMullen Construction won 3 consecutive no-bid contracts. Marla Reed is Walter's niece. Family doesn't mean loyal. She's clean, which makes her dangerous.
What kind of questions?
The kind that lead to audits, the kind that bring federal investigators, the kind that put people in prison for 20 years.
Outside, a cement truck rumbled past, carrying the foundation of their expanding empire.
Set up a meeting with the Reed family, all of them.
3 hours later, they gathered at the Palliser Hotel, Calgary's most prestigious establishment. Walter Reed arrived first, his civilian clothes doing nothing to hide his cop's posture.
Unexpected invitation. Unexpected times. Marla, thank you for joining us.
This looks like a conspiracy meeting.
It's a family dinner. We're all family here in a sense. Some families have secrets, others have crime syndicates.
The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees.
Accusations are dangerous things, especially when they're unfounded.
Are they unfounded, Uncle Walter?
Before Walter could answer, the dining room door opened and Dakota Reed walked in.
Sorry I'm late. Had to finish something. The kind that solves problems before they become complications.
Dakota, perhaps you'd like to explain what you mean.
Detective Hansen won't be asking questions about construction permits anymore. Car accident on the Bow River Bridge. Very tragic. Detective Hansen was my partner. These things happen, especially to people who investigate things they shouldn't.
Marla, you have a choice to make. You can continue your investigation and risk becoming another tragic accident, or you can accept that some questions are better left unasked.
You're threatening a police officer. I'm offering career advice. The Stampede Project will bring prosperity to Calgary. Jobs, tourism, economic growth.
Others call it organized crime. The difference is often a matter of perspective.
This conversation never happened. Of course not. Just a family dinner.
Detective Reed, your partner's funeral is Thursday. I hear it's going to be well attended.
The oil fields stretched toward the horizon like a mechanical forest, pumps bobbing up and down in hypnotic rhythm while flare stacks painted the pre-dawn sky orange. Jerome Nwokedi stood among the derricks, his accounting degree from University of Calgary making him an unlikely figure in coveralls and hard hat.
Numbers don't lie, he said to Min Jae Lee, whose Korean-Canadian precision had made him invaluable to Dominion operations. But they can be very creative with the truth.
Min Jae adjusted his safety glasses, the computer tablet in his hands displaying financial data that would make federal auditors weep. Krupin Energy Partners reported $12 million in losses last quarter, while actually generating $37 million in profit.
Ghost employees, inflated operating costs, phantom equipment purchases, Jerome enumerated. Beautiful work.
The beauty lay in the complexity. Oil field operations involved dozens of subcontractors, hundreds of employees, and thousands of transactions. Burying illegal profits in that labyrinth required an artist's touch and an accountant's soul.
The Houston connection is confirmed, Anatoly announced without preamble. They'll take $50 million in crude oil contracts, no questions asked.
Money laundering through energy exports, Jerome mused. Elegant.
More than elegant, Ivana corrected. Necessary. The Stampede construction project generated too much attention. We need cleaner revenue streams.
Min Jae's tablet chimed with an incoming message. He frowned at the screen. We have a problem. Federal audit notice for Krupin Energy Partners.
The group fell silent except for the rhythmic sound of oil pumps and the distant hum of processing equipment. Finally, Anatoly spoke. How deep?
Complete financial review going back 3 years, Min Jae replied. They want everything. Payroll records, supplier contracts, equipment purchases, the works.
Ivana's jaw tightened. Someone's feeding them specific information. This isn't a random audit.
Random audits don't request specific documents by date and transaction number, Jerome agreed.
All units, Calgary Police Service requesting assistance with warrant execution at Krupin Energy headquarters.
Anatoly was moving before the radio finished speaking. How long to sanitize the office? 20 minutes if we're lucky, Ivana replied. 2 hours if we're thorough. We don't have 2 hours.
Min Jae was already typing commands into his tablet. I can crash the server system. Blame it on a power surge. That'll buy us time to remove the physical records. Do it.
As Min Jae's fingers flew across the screen, Jerome made calculations that had nothing to do with accounting. The timing is too perfect. Federal audit, police warrants, all hitting simultaneously.
Coordinated attack, Anatoly agreed. Same pattern as the warehouse raids last month.
Someone inside our organization is feeding information to law enforcement, Ivana concluded.
The radio crackled again. Additional units, warrant execution at Lewis Boxing Promotions, 4th Avenue.
Jerome's blood chilled. Errol Lewis's boxing gym was more than a sports facility. It housed the records for their most sensitive operations, blackmail materials, offshore account information, and detailed files on every politician, judge, and police officer in their network.
They're hitting all of us, he said quietly.
Ivana pulled out her cell phone, dialing rapidly. Marcus, it's Ivana. You need to get out of the office now.
Marcus Lewis's voice came through the speaker, tense with controlled panic. Already gone. Grabbed the emergency drives and ran when I heard the sirens. Where are you? Safe house on Memorial Drive. But Aunt Selena's still inside the RCMP building. If they're monitoring communications...
The implication hung in the air like gun smoke. Selena Lewis had spent years building her network inside law enforcement, feeding information to the Dominion Council while maintaining her cover as a loyal officer. If her connection to the organization was exposed, the entire structure would collapse.
We need to extract her, Anatoly said. From RCMP headquarters? Jerome shook his head. That's suicide. Leaving her is organizational death, Ivana countered.
Min Jae looked up from his tablet. Server crash complete. It'll look like a legitimate system failure.
A black sedan approached along the access road, moving too fast for casual traffic. Anatoly squinted against the morning sun. Company.
The sedan stopped 50 yards away, and 2 men in dark suits climbed out. Federal agents, their posture and positioning marking them as professionals who understood the difference between arrest and elimination. "Gentlemen, ladies," the lead agent called out. "Federal Bureau of Investigation. We'd like to have a conversation."
Jerome felt sweat despite the morning chill. About what?
"About opportunity," the agent replied. "About the opportunity to cooperate with a federal investigation into organized crime in Alberta." "And if we decline this opportunity?" Ivana asked. The second agent smiled, the expression carrying no warmth. "Then you'll have the opportunity to explain your business practices to a federal grand jury."
Anatoly stepped forward, his work boots crunching on gravel. "What kind of cooperation are you suggesting?"
"The kind that keeps families together," the lead agent replied. "The kind that preserves legitimate businesses while eliminating illegal activities." "You want us to turn on the council," Ivana said flatly. "We want you to choose survival over loyalty," the agent corrected.
Jerome's accounting mind calculated odds and outcomes while oil pumps continued their mechanical rhythm. The federal government had resources the Dominion Council couldn't match: unlimited budgets, legal authority, and the patience to build cases that would last decades. But they also had something the government didn't understand. They had loyalty forged in blood and trust built through shared secrets.
We'll need time to consider your offer, Anatoly said finally. Of course, the lead agent agreed. You have until tomorrow morning.
As the agents drove away, Min-jae's tablet chimed again. This time the message was from an encrypted account they all recognized. Emergency Council meeting. Tonight. Location TBD. Come alone.
The abandoned grain elevator stood against the night sky like a concrete monument to better times, its silos empty of everything except shadows and memories. Sean McCullen arrived first, his Mercedes out of place in the industrial wasteland that surrounded Calgary's forgotten infrastructure. The elevator had served their purposes before, neutral ground where the 5 families could meet without territorial complications. Tonight, it would witness either the resurrection of the Dominion Council or its final dissolution. Headlights swept across broken concrete as other cars arrived. Franco Vincenzo stepped out of a Lincoln Continental, his 70-year-old frame still carrying the authority of old-world violence. Behind him came his son Luca, whose Harvard education hadn't entirely civilized his instincts.
Eventful week, getting more eventful by the hour.
Errol Lewis arrived in a pickup truck that had seen better decades, his boxing gym's closure forcing him to abandon his usual theatrical entrances. His nephew Marcus followed, carrying a laptop bag that contained the digital remnants of their compromised empire.
Federal agents paid me a visit this afternoon. Very polite conversation about cooperation and consequences. They're making the rounds.
The last vehicle was Anatoly Krupin's work van, industrial and anonymous. Ivana emerged first, her business attire somehow maintaining its crispness despite the night's chaos. Her father followed, his movements showing the strain of 20 years in a business that aged men like radiation.
5 families, 1 problem.
Multiple problems. The federal investigation is broader than we thought. They have financial records going back 15 years.
How did they get this information? Someone with access to council business, someone who's been feeding them data for months, maybe years.
The question isn't how they got it. The question is what we do about it.
We could cooperate. Take their deal. Testify against smaller players. Preserve the core organization. Cooperate with whom? They want us to betray each other. That's not cooperation, it's suicide. Better than the alternative. Federal prison isn't a place any of us want to explore. Neither is abandoning 20 years of work.
Police raids hit 16 locations today. They seized records, equipment, cash reserves. The legitimate businesses are under federal audit. They're dismantling us piece by piece, unless we dismantle ourselves first. Controlled demolition instead of federal wrecking ball.
You're talking about dissolving the council. I'm talking about evolution. The old model is compromised. We need something new. New how? Legitimate business, political influence, economic power, crime without criminals, profit without prosecution. You want to buy the system instead of fighting it. The system is for sale, always has been. We just need better purchasing power.
Expecting someone? No.
Gentlemen, ladies, productive evening. Walter, unexpected pleasure. Nothing about this situation is pleasant. I came to deliver a message.
What people? The kind who prefer order to chaos. The kind who understand that Calgary's prosperity depends on certain arrangements remaining stable.
You're talking about protection. I'm talking about partnership. The federal investigation can disappear. The raids can stop. The pressure can ease.
New management meaning what exactly? Meaning the Dominion Council answers to higher authority now. Meaning independence is a luxury you can no longer afford.
And if we refuse, then tomorrow morning, federal agents arrest everyone standing in this circle. Evidence will be overwhelming, convictions guaranteed, sentences measured in decades.
How long do we have to decide? You don't. The decision's already been made. I'm just here to explain the terms.
Welcome to the new Dominion Council. Management hopes you'll find the transition educational.
The boardroom in the Petroleum Club's penthouse suite overlooked Calgary's skyline like a command center for conquest. 40 stories above the street, the city spread out in all directions. Oil derricks and office towers, construction cranes and traffic patterns that moved billions of dollars through carefully orchestrated channels. Sean McCullen sat at the polished mahogany table, his reflection multiplied in the surface that had witnessed decades of backroom deals and political arrangements. Across from him sat a man he'd never seen before, someone whose expensive suit and practiced composure suggested connections that reached far beyond Alberta. "I represent certain interests that have been observing your organization's evolution, the kind that turn regional operations into international enterprises, the kind that understand profit margins measured in hundreds of millions rather than thousands." The federal investigation was getting inconvenient. We arranged for it to be redirected. Evidence has been reclassified as part of an ongoing international terrorism investigation. Federal prosecutors have been instructed to focus their attention elsewhere.
That level of influence doesn't come cheap. Calgary becomes a hub, connecting Asian markets with North American distribution networks. Your existing infrastructure provides the foundation. Profit is profit, Mr. McCullen. Legitimacy is simply a matter of proper documentation. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I was just explaining to Mr. McCullen how dramatically your business model is about to improve for everyone willing to embrace expansion. Calgary's current operations generate approximately $50 million annually. Our partnership would increase that to $500 million within 3 years. Management structure will be adjusted. Local operations remain under local supervision, but strategic decisions flow through our coordination center.